that it's not so much God extracting a price for genius, Gus. I think it's that genius itself extracts the price. With every blessing, there is a tiny bit of curse that goes along with it.
Jimmy Swaggart was a name that once filled stadiums, television screens, and living rooms around the world. His voice carried power, conviction, and controversy. But now, long after the lights dimmed and the sermons ended, his name is back in the headlines for a reason nobody expected. Not because of a revival, not because of a comeback, but because of a leaked autopsy report that has reopened wounds many thought were buried for good. And this time, Donnie Swaggart isn't staying silent. At first, the news spread quietly. A few whispers online, a handful of insiders hinting that something about Jimmy Swaggart's final days didn't add up. Then suddenly, it exploded. Screenshots, anonymous posts, and leaked details began circulating, claiming to reveal what really happened behind the scenes as one of the most famous televangelists in history took his final breath.
A tough battle in the hospital. Reverend Jimmy Swaggart passed away at 90 years old.
People weren't just asking how Jimmy died anymore. They were asking why the truth felt so carefully managed. And when Donnie finally spoke, his words didn't calm the storm, they made it bigger. For decades, Jimmy Swaggart lived in the spotlight. He was admired, criticized, forgiven, and questioned, all at once. To understand why this alleged autopsy leak has shaken so many people, you have to understand who Jimmy was and what he represented. He wasn't just a preacher, he was a movement. Rising in the 1970s and 80s, Jimmy built an empire through television, music, and fiery sermons that reached millions across the globe. His ministry wasn't small or quiet. It was loud, emotional, and unapologetic. But with fame came pressure. Jimmy preached holiness and repentance with unmatched intensity, yet his own life became the subject of public scandal.
I was a baby. And to someone that's very young, things like cars, suits, etc., probably mean more than they would when you get a little older. You realize it's not so much there anymore. And I had some decisions to make, and the Lord helped me to make them. I've never regretted them, not one single solid.
When his sins were exposed, the fall was devastating. Supporters felt betrayed, critics felt validated, and Jimmy himself stood before the world, tearful and broken, admitting his wrongdoing. That moment defined him, just as much as his sermons did. Some walked away forever. Others stayed, believing in redemption and second chances. In the years that followed, Jimmy never fully regained the influence he once had. But he never disappeared either. He kept preaching, he kept singing, he kept showing up, even as the crowds grew smaller and the culture changed. Behind the scenes, his son Donnie stepped into a bigger role, becoming the public face of the ministry's future. To many, it felt like a quiet transition, a passing of the torch that didn't need to be announced.
Doing what I felt God wanted me to do, I felt it was the right thing. And that's hard to understand, it really is. But God had called me to do this, and I've tried my very best, even though I feel like I failed miserably, to be honest with you, because the Lord has been so much better to me than I ever could deserve.
But here's the thing. When a man lives his life in public, people expect transparency in the end, too. That's why, when Jimmy Swaggart passed away, the carefully controlled narrative immediately raised eyebrows. The ministry said he died peacefully. No long statements, no medical details, just a simple announcement and a private farewell. For some, that was enough. For others, it felt like something was missing. Then came the leak. According to what's been circulating online, the leaked autopsy report painted a much more complicated picture of Jimmy Swaggart's final months. Now, to be clear, no official document has been publicly released by authorities. What people are reacting to are alleged details shared by individuals claiming insider knowledge. But those details were specific enough to stop people in their tracks.
I were closer and are closer even today than most cousins would be. We grew up learning to play the piano together.
The report allegedly suggested that Jimmy had been dealing with severe health complications for far longer than the public knew. Not just age-related decline, but issues that affected his mental clarity, mobility, and emotional state. Insiders claim there were signs of neurological deterioration, moments of confusion, and extended periods where he was isolated from regular ministry operations. If true, that would explain why Jimmy quietly vanished from the pulpit without explanation. What nobody expected was how deep the alleged decline went. The leak claims Jimmy wasn't just physically weak, he was emotionally withdrawn. According to these sources, he spent much of his final year away from cameras, away from staff, and away from the ministry he built. Some even claim there were internal discussions about how much the public should know and whether revealing the truth would damage the brand of the ministry. And that's where the controversy really begins. Because once those claims surfaced, people started asking hard questions. If Jimmy was suffering, why wasn't the church community asked to pray? Why wasn't there an announcement asking supporters for support? Why did everything feel so quiet, so closed off, so controlled? For a ministry built on openness and confession, the silence felt strange. But here's the twist. The leak didn't just focus on Jimmy's health, it also hinted at tension behind the scenes, especially involving leadership decisions made in his final years. According to anonymous insiders, Jimmy's authority had been gradually reduced long before his death. Decisions were being made without his involvement, meetings were happening that he wasn't part of. And while Donnie publicly honored his father, some claim the transition of power was already complete long before Jimmy passed. That's when Donnie Swaggart finally spoke. In a statement released shortly after the rumors gained traction, Donnie didn't deny that his father had been struggling, but he pushed back hard against what he called twisted narratives and half-truths designed to stir division. He made it clear that Jimmy was surrounded by family and cared for deeply, yet his words carried an unmistakable edge. Donnie wasn't just defending his father, he was defending decisions that many now believe were made behind closed doors. What stood out most was Donnie's tone. This wasn't a calm clarification, it was emotional, defensive, almost wounded. He spoke about loyalty, about protecting legacy, about how people on the outside would never understand what the family went through. And in doing so, he unintentionally confirmed what many suspected. Things were not as peaceful as they were presented. As the days passed, more voices entered the conversation. Former staff members, speaking anonymously, described a culture where information was tightly controlled. They claimed that Jimmy's condition was treated like a secret, shared only with a small inner circle. Some said they were instructed not to discuss his health at all. Others felt uneasy watching a man who once commanded rooms slowly fade into the background without acknowledgement. And then came the emotional fallout. For longtime supporters, this felt like a betrayal of trust. These were people who stood by Jimmy during his scandals, defended him when critics attacked, and continued supporting the ministry for decades. To them, Jimmy wasn't just a preacher, he was family. Learning that his final days might have been lonely or hidden cut deep. Many took to social media expressing sadness, confusion, and even anger. They weren't demanding details out of curiosity. They wanted closure. They wanted to grieve properly. They wanted to feel included in the goodbye of someone who shaped their faith journey. For the Swaggart family, the impact was just as heavy. Losing a patriarch is never easy, especially when the world is watching and judging every move. Donnie, in particular, found himself caught between honoring his father and protecting the ministry's future. Every word he spoke was analyzed. Every silence was questioned.
And then there's the deeper emotional layer that nobody likes to talk about. Watching a powerful figure decline is painful. It forces families to make impossible decisions: what to share, what to protect, what to let go. If the leaked details are even partially true, then Jimmy Swaggart's final chapter wasn't just about illness. It was about identity, control, and the fear of letting the world see weakness.
Careers built on strength often struggle with vulnerability at the end, and that's what makes this story so haunting. As the dust settles, one thing is clear: Jimmy Swaggart's death didn't close the book on his story, it reopened it. The alleged autopsy leak didn't just reveal medical details, it exposed unresolved questions about transparency, leadership, and legacy. It forced people to look beyond the sermons and into the human cost of building an empire in the public eye. Donnie Swaggart may want the conversation to end. He may want people to remember his father for his faith, not his final struggles. But once the silence is broken, it's hard to control what follows. And right now, the questions are louder than the answers. So, what does this all mean? Was the truth hidden to protect Jimmy's dignity or to protect the ministry's image? Was Donnie acting out of love or out of fear of losing control? And most importantly, did Jimmy Swaggart leave this world feeling supported or forgotten? Those answers may never fully come, but one thing is certain. Legacy isn't just about how you live, it's about how your story is told when you're gone. And in Jimmy Swaggart's case, that story is still unfolding.
Because sometimes the most powerful sermons are the ones spoken without words, and sometimes the loudest truths are the ones that surface after the curtain falls.